alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk. The alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Okay, it's a wonderful morning, ladies and gentlemen. Don't mind our smiles. We've been here thinking and going through a certain statement by the president. But nonetheless, we shall also bring it on board, and Justice Kanyeihamba will have to comment about it. My name is Norman Tumhimbise. We are broadcasting live on the Alternative Uganda Facebook page, and also later on our show will be on the Alternative Uganda YouTube. And also you can continue commenting and following the show on the Alternative Digitalk, Digitalk TV on Facebook page. And this morning we are with Justice Kanyeihamba to also make sense of a lot of topical discussions this week. I'm Norman Tumhimbise. Justice Kanyeihamba, say hello to our viewers. We go straight.
Hello viewers, very nice to be here again, and nice to see you, Norman. I am ready for whatever you have for my menu.
Okay. That's Justice Kanyeihamba, as young as he looks and strong. And to remind all of us, next week, Thursday, is going to make 83 years. Strong, wise, brilliant, and courageous, but most importantly, a patriot. Let's go straight to our topical discussion, Justice Kanyeihamba, which involves, as you said, in our menu, Ugandans are so much concerned about the president's repeatedly addresses, as he calls them. And as far as Ugandans know, they believe and think that the Constitution gives the mandate to the president to address the country, I think, once a year, where he gives an official State of the Nation address. We now see him coming almost every 1 week or thereabout. He was with us last week. He's coming back this Friday, if I'm not mistaken. What is your take? What does the law say?
I think the law is silent on that. But the tradition and the Constitution provide one address, a national address by the president every year, not frequently. That is one of the reasons that the makers of the Uganda Constitution refused him to continue talking to the nation or even to Parliament so regularly. Because his presence there is very counterproductive. Even in other countries, you can't have a president addressing the nation every week, or as frequently as has been done, because most Ugandans, particularly in developed countries, regard everything he says as imperative and the policy of the government of the day. You as head of government, you can't address the nation daily explaining your policies.
What does that mean? Ineffectiveness of the policies or something?
You can either address the nation on policy and decisions of government or nothing else if you are the president. You are not appointed president to joke with the people.
Wait a second.
Or to have social contract with them. You are supposed to be head of government and emphasize your policies and decisions whenever you talk, unless you are talking privately. You remember the man who used to talk about the nation regularly? Trump, President Trump. is nowhere anymore. Because people get fed up with seeing his face and reading his Twitters every day. So Museveni, please don't bore this nation.
You're telling your
And
friend
he
that
doesn't.
that he bores the
The
country.
person who is promised to do all these things is his shadow. I'm writing a book, President Museveni and his shadow.
So you mean we have two
But-
now?
Hmm?
In your view, we have two. There is
We have two people.
Who and who?
One is Tibuhaburwa, the other one is President Museveni. Museveni has got advisors. Cabinet ministers are his advisors. And we said in the constitution that the ministers are to advise. He has got ambassadors who advise him on foreign affairs. So that is President Museveni, I know. But there is character who came recently called Tibuhaburwa.
Tibuhaburwa.
Is his shadow.
So the country is
And
led by...
his shadow is misleading him, is making wrong decisions, and is boring the country.
So in your view, the country is led by two people, the shadow and...
Yes, and Museveni.
So should
And Museveni so far is doing relatively well. But the shadow of Tibuhaburwa is making this country a mess. That's how I see it.
So whom should the country follow? The shadow, the owner of the shadow?
No. By Museveni allowing the shadow to do his work, he has forfeited the right to be leader of Uganda. That's why in my book, The Defeat of President Museveni, which I have sent to him, I say, let us discuss the retirement of President Museveni and his succession. It is unlikely for him, is unlikely to support his son. Ask me why.
Why is that?
His son is called Muhoozi. Now, Muhoozi, they are divided on foreign policy. Very, very sharply divided. Museveni supports the government of Ethiopia. His son supports
the rebels,
the opposition, the rebels. How can he recommend him to be president of Uganda? No. I heard somewhere, where it was a rumor, for true story, that Museveni said he will not release his son
from them
to be a politician. And the second, the Uganda constitution says, if you are an officer in the UPDF, which is our army, you are prohibited.
Yeah, from active politics.
Yes. So what is he doing having a lot of birthdays, 48, in every part of the country and so? Is he not the Queen of England? Thank you.
Aren't you envious about the young man's freedom to associate and be happy and celebrate with his fellow
Not
people?
when he is commanded by the commander-in-chief to do military affairs while he's a general. No way.
Before we leave that concern, Justice Kanyeihamba,
Yes.
recently the president was clear and he said the name Muhoozi, and being a Westerner, I want to associate you towards interpreting the actual meaning of Muhoozi. He said the son is Muhoozi, so he will avenge. He's the avenger, like those people who have followed or watched a movie is called Avenger, someone who avenges on someone's behalf. So that whoever comes for President Museveni, the son will be there to avenge. Don't you think that alone qualifies him to succeed him, as he puts it?
Why hasn't he avenged for him for Babazi, Tumukunde, who wanted to take his father's chair? Why hasn't he avenged? If that is the name, therefore he is really not acting in accordance with the tradition of the Bachiga Banyankole, what that name Muhoozi means. He is acting contrary to that name. Therefore, we cannot accept the father's interpretation of it.
Well, with Justice Kanyeihamba, he's always interesting, and he gives us the insights of what the country and the whole world ought to know. Justice Kanyeihamba, you said the president once in a while should come and rather address the nation in regards to specific policies. Does that mean, in your view, that he has lost trust in his ministers who rather would be here addressing the country about specific policies, and then he considers coming to address the nation himself?
You see, Norman, that is precisely what has happened to this country. I have told you that it is Tibuhaburwa who is addressing the nation. Now, if you say, I don't need advisors, I don't need actually anybody to advise me how to say to my people in Uganda, then he has to do it himself. Because he said he doesn't want anybody else to do it. So the cabinet are silent, cabinet ministers, ambassadors on foreign affairs are silent. I know we have an ambassador in Addis Ababa, in Ethiopia.
Ethiopia. Yeah.
Why doesn't he advise him that you are right, but your son is wrong? Because that is precisely what it is. Why doesn't Museveni talk about Muhoozi disagreeing with him on foreign policy insofar as it relates to the Republic of Ethiopia? He doesn't because he doesn't want any advice. His son has recently said, I have a team ready to take over. To take over what?
Uganda.
To take over the government. But Museveni is still president and he refuses to retire. And then when I say let us discuss about the retirement of Museveni, the media shy away. So really, the answer is very obvious. Museveni is his own man. He doesn't want advisors, whether they are cabinet ministers or ambassadors. He does the job himself. He has become Uganda. Uganda and Museveni, rather than the Tibuhaburwa, are now unanimous.
Interesting. Justice Kanyeihamba, we want to find out from you. You have said he happens to have an ambassador. Uganda has an ambassador in Ethiopia,
Yes.
for example.
Yes.
Whom, in your view, should have advised the president that, look, your son supports the other side and you happen to support the other side. Are there courageous people like you think, in the cabinet that have the courage to advise him and he simply throws the advice in the dustbin?
Now, I want to pose a question that if the opposition themselves, including Mao, are very frightened of Museveni, and whatever he wants, he will have, how can an ambassador talk when the president said, I don't need your advice? But in the ordinary cases of other countries, including even the best, America, Britain, or even the worst countries you can think in this world, it is the ambassadors and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and his team who advise the government what events in the world mean, how they should interpret them. But Museveni has said he doesn't ask them to do that. So you can see we are in a dilemma. That title, I had wanted to call it The Dilemma of President Museveni. But somebody said, no, you call it, and there's a very famous writer also. He said, you call it Museveni and his shadow. Those of you who read, I read a lot. There is a book called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Mr. Hyde was the shadow of a very famous, well-known doctor called Dr. Jekyll. But when his shadow, Mr. Hyde, came along, a lot of bad things started happening, ordered by Mr. Hyde. Because let me tell you, Mr. Tibuhaburwa advised Museveni that he should affect and reshuffle and amend the right to bail. Then the Attorney General, again advised by, rather, that ordered by Mr. Tibuhaburwa, said that the bad deal the Minister of Finance made is perfectly okay, and he has read it. He was acting on the orders of Mr. Tibuhaburwa. Then Museveni himself, in his own right as the president of Uganda, rejected that advice and agreed with the parliament to set up a committee. When they set up a committee, it gave its findings. It said the deal was unconstitutional, it breached 2 laws of Uganda, and it was not in the interests of Uganda. Those are the findings of the committee. The Speaker of Parliament, among, said this contract is fraudulent. Then comes in Tibuhaburwa. Tibuhaburwa said, although you all say it is unconstitutional, it is against interests of Uganda, I don't want us to cancel it. That is Tibuhaburwa for you.
The shadow of Museveni.
The shadow of Museveni. Yeah.
Okay, Justice Kanyeihamba, you said he has the advisors and the rest. If you were advising someone who considers your advice relevant, what do you do if, as a sober cabinet minister or as the president's presidential advisor? Because you were there once.
I was once advisor
cabinet and then
officially, both officially, but the one I was appointed in accordance with the Constitution, that is the Minister of Justice and Attorney General. In those days, it was one office. You didn't have a separate Attorney General, who today happens to be an expert on oil and not on law. And so you combined both. I would advise him that, Mr. President, your duties and the principles does not permit you to address the nation regularly.
in the event that he goes parallel to your advice, what would you do as Attorney General?
I would resign. I resigned twice. You see, one time, I have repeated this story elsewhere. When I was in China, he arrested Moses Ali and Omar Otubo against our understanding, because he and I had agreed as Attorney General that in order to make things smooth, he should not order the arrest of a minister, member of parliament, or permanent secretary without advice from my chambers, either by the Solicitor General or by me myself. When I was away in China, he arrested Moses Ali and Omar Otubo. When I came and heard the news, I was very furious. I'm afraid sometimes I can lose my temper. So I said, Mr. President, I am resigning now. The words he used said, Kanyeihamba, don't be made dramatic. This is a simple matter. I said, no, it's a matter of honor and honesty and integrity. We agreed, we had an understanding that he will not arrest ministers and members of parliament or permanent secretaries without an input from my chambers. While I was abroad,
You arrested
he
Atubo
arrested these two. You see, that's why I think our problem in Uganda are the opposition. So I offered to resign immediately. But when you offer to resign, also consider seriously, does my resignation have an effect on the governance? Yes, it did. I knew it would. I knew that if I mentioned my resignation publicly, it would severely damage the government of Uganda and President Museveni. And he knew it. He's a very clever man. So he rescinded the detention of Moses Ali
And that too.
and Namara Tubu. But not only that, both of them sued him and the government for wrongful detention. And they got millions of shillings in the
Compensation.
course. Had he really accepted my advice, we wouldn't have lost so many millions. And then maybe he wouldn't be forced to continue employing Moses Ali. I think now he's
now.
the first prime minister.
First deputy prime minister.
Deputy minister. So really, we have a problem here. And it had been exacerbated by the employment of Tibuhaburwa to mess up things. Tibuhaburwa is messing this country up. Let me tell you what happened, and this relates to my friend Chagulanye and his leader of parliament, of his party in the parliament. What is his name? He's a lawyer.
Mathias Mpuga.
Mathias Mpuga. Mathias Mpuga. I took a motion to put in the parliament. Because as we stand now, there is an illegal law which justifies Museveni winning every election. And that is, I want to repeat it and do it slowly so that you hear this, whether they support Tibuhaburwa or Museveni. I hope they support Museveni. Will listen and put it in the parliament. It is paragraph A of subsection 6 of paragraph, or rather of section 59 of the Constitution. Let me repeat it. Paragraph A, subsection
59.
6 of section 59 of the Presidential Election Act. It is unconstitutional, it is illegal, and it justified judges of the Supreme Court to say Museveni won the election. So it is heinous and illegal in our laws. It is not even a part of the Constitution. That's why I say it violates the Constitution. So I have given it to all the leaders of the opposition, including Mao now, but now I can see why he feared to do anything about it, because he was thinking seriously of doing a chair in NRM. That's why he refused it. So Mpuga promised me that he will move that motion in the parliament. Mpuga, the leader of NUP. I have his words as a gentleman. And all he has to do is to say, Madam Speaker, sir, Madam Speaker, I move that paragraph B of subsection 6 of section 59 should be deleted from the laws of Uganda because it is unconstitutional, it is against the laws of Uganda, and more importantly, it was obtained by bribes. If you remember, when the suggestion that term limits should be, that section should be removed, Kanyeihamba said this man must be joking. Kanyeihamba was a friend of mine. We used to dine together every Saturday, whether he was, unless he was in the cabinet. And he said, I think our president he was joking. There's no way we can remove term limit when all Ugandans agreed on it and the CA enacted it in our constitution. Then I am told, I wasn't in cabinet, that the cabinet met to consider that not serious provision. Museveni said, I think it would be a good idea to remove it. By the way, his term was nearing its end. And when they refused, he called the caucus of the NRM. They also refused. So he took the next thing, which is now the major instrument of rule in Uganda, corruption. He paid every MP the sum of 5 million shillings each to remove term limits. I remember I could see as my sister, Hope Mwesije, who steered that bill in the parliament. I don't know whether she also got 5 million. And following that,
they amended it.
yes, Amama Mbaba was very annoyed because at heart, actually, Mbaba Mbaba, I know him. He's a multi-partist, you see. And he said, I am standing against Museveni as presidential candidate because he's messing up our constitution. So Museveni went ahead. At that time, he was Tibuhaburwa, but he hadn't disclosed that name. So they removed term limit illegally, unconstitutionally, and by bribe. I wanted the opposition people to listen to me, and those who support him. How can you tolerate that? Kanyeihamba, sometimes people believe in me. You think I'm telling lies? You read the proceedings. Read our constitution. That paragraph A of substitution is not part of our constitution, but it is contrary. Because if you read Article 104 of the Constitution, I want to be able to read it. That provision is not there. But the NRM illegally added it in our laws. In order to enable Tibuhaburwa to win. Now let me finish there. So I would like people like what is the name? Kanyeihamba. Of Monitor. Yes. The editor, the new editor-in-chief of New Vision, to ask that very question. Because at one time, a doctor who disguises himself as a doctor, I think he's a doctor, he said I was mad and totally incomprehensible. And they took me to Butabika. Ask Baziraki, Dr. Baziraki. He came there to rescue me.
What was the motive?
The motive was to silence me, that I would never give such a talk to you, that I would never write again. But unfortunately, since that time, I think I have written more books, more opinions.
So the mad person has written more books than...
Yeah. And the same way I have sent to Museveni, he doesn't say this is by Bakma. By the way, in coming from that, being released from a medical provision, a medical suit, Museveni helped me. He's my friend. You can look there. So I am at State House with my family.
With him.
We invited
with Museveni, not with Tibuhaburwa, not with his shadow.
No, it was the one.
By that time he was.
No, it is Museveni who was not with Tibuhaburwa. Now, having said that, having said that, why, please, I would like you to ask Mao.
No, that one, I think for now, he's now on his chair. Do you think he's relevant now towards
No, when you
amending
asked
the...
him, you said, I am bound by collective responsibility. Therefore, I can't answer that question. Then that one, that's
goes
the
on
one
record.
to know the answer. Ask, what is his name?
Mpuga.
Mpuga. Ask, who else did I tell? I sent it a copy of the
Segola.
letter of the Conservative Party, whom I used to know as Luchamuzi.
Up to now, he is. Yeah.
He's silent. Why? And I don't know. But some people have guessed. Now, ask Amuliat.
Of
Because
FBC.
I sent a copy to him at his office in Najanankumbi. He has never, ever since he became leader, he has never talked to me. At least BSG does. But for him, Amulian has remained a silent bride for a long, long time.
I have a question for you. When else did you ever advise Mr. Museveni at that time, not Tibuhaburwa, not his shadow?
Yes.
And he didn't respect your advice. And what did you
Mr.
do?
Museveni always accepted my advice. I can't remember one advice which he never did not consider seriously. I'd explain a way that I already knew and I'm doing something about it, or say, I think, Kanyeihamba, you are right. He always, you remember the Muslim who killed two policemen at
Old Kampala.
Kampala. He sent me to investigate, and he said, you are my troubleshooter. I went there, and I gave his message to those tablets, and they disbanded themselves. He accepted that. I also advised him on the issue of barter trade. Remember, I was his barter trade man. He accepted everything. I always brought from abroad. And I visited more countries in the world than I didn't visit. So I always tell people, if you ask me which countries did you visit as Minister of Commerce and the barter trade, I'll tell you, ask me how many I didn't visit, because the ones I visited are the majority. And I can enumerate them all: China, North Korea, South Korea, Jamaica, Cuba, all those I visited. There's not a country I didn't. So he always accepted my advice. But now, as you know, Mr. Tibuhaburwa
He's now
is
the
the
one in
one
charge.
who's governing his spirit, and he has said clearly, I don't accept any
Advice.
advice, whether it is from the vice president, the prime minister. They are wasting their time.
A quick one here. Last week, I am aware that you might have followed the sequence of events, in particular where the government spokesperson, I don't know whether he's your friend, but I remember when you asked us to organize your book launch, he's one person you even talked on the phone and invited him in person, and his book and the tickets were delivered in preparation for your book launch. So to us, maybe he could be your friend. His conduct towards the Lord Mayor onto NBS TV sometime last week.
Remind
Your
me,
comment, you know,
isn't he the same person who was rightly or wrongly accused of having stolen pants from a store? Isn't he also the
Uganda
same?
would say, so you have, you know.
No, I wanted to know his backup plan. It might have been false.
But as far as you read
I
somewhere,
remember they are being accusation that he went into a supermarket and they stole pants
Uchumi at a time.
and hid them in his own pants.
So he stole pants and hid
And-
them in other pants.
Yeah. And then when he was leaving, the executive caught him. Isn't that the same man?
That's the one. Allegedly.
Now I understand. There has been other rumors, serious, but I'll leave those. Now,
Justice Kanyeihamba, you're fond of sounding sarcastic to your
I
colleagues.
wanted the country to know how we are governed, my friend.
Last week you
Because this
baptized your
man
friend.
is a spokesperson
The
of
whole
the
government.
NRM, which is governing us. And you are entitled to know the character
Of our
and the
leaders.
behavior of the people who govern you. Please. That's what freedom and democracy is all about. We should be governed by Museveni, not a Tibuhaburwa. We should be advised by honorable people and not the one you are mentioning. He is the
Spokesperson.
advisor, spokesperson of the NRM of government. And what he says is the law. That's the only advice from that man that Tibuhaburwa respects. It is a disgraceful. In another country, whether democratic or not, Ofwono should have offered and Museveni accepted his resignation from government immediately. And I knew him as a gentleman. I have ever written to him advice. I advise him now to resign from government.
Opondo.
He should resign at once. And then when Museveni keeps quiet about this ghastly incident, you see, you didn't say what he did. From reading the newspapers and hearing the Baryomunsi, who is the political spokesperson of the NRM government, he attempted to commit murder. Katwanda Wang. How can you continue employing a man who attempted to commit murder, not of even an ordinary thief, even that one is not allowed unless you try him.
A petty thief, eh?
But of the Lord Mayor of the capital city of Uganda by the name of
Yes, Lukwago.
Lukwago, Elias Lukwago. It is a scandal. It is a criminal. It is unheard of in any other country that this young man is young because I'm in my 80s. Next month I will be 83.
Next week.
But I'm still 82 officially and legally. But how can Opondo not see? Is he blind? Because I think putting a pants in his pocket and going out of the supermarket was presumably accidental. But at this time he rushed from his chair and grabbed Lukwago to strangle him. Even the Minister of Information had to intervene to save the mayor. By the way, the Minister of Information is now silent. What information are you
giving to the public?
What information do you give? You should be the star. You should be telling the country what happened. You should have gone to President Museveni and you said, in my opinion, this gentleman should retire. He's embarrassing it. Let me tell you what happened recently. There is a relative of mine. He's called Major General Kahindo Tafiri. We share an ancestry and a great-grandfather. He's called Katuru, our shared relative. He's been telling lies to everybody that he's from Ankole. Yeah, physically, presumably, he's still in Ankole. But I also knew an Indian who was a citizen of British or Britain who was staying in Mbarara. He never pretended that I am a Munyankole. He always said he was British. So kind of Tafie, my brother, why do you give the impression that you are a Munyankole when you are not? There is a book written by Kabana Nuche called The People of Kigezi. Both Kahindo Tafile and Tibuhaburwa are members because they originally came from Kigezi. But when you ask every day Uganda say Munyankole, when Munyankole nearly slapped me, he said he's from Ankole, bye. He had to be restrained from killing me. Anyway, what? You know, I have written a book. I don't think this is the one I didn't send to President Museveni. I'm going to send him a copy. In the power of Africa, the unexpected happens. So this one of Opondo is the most unexpected.
Which had
That a chief spokesman of the ruling party can actually stand up and try to strangle the road mayor of Kampala.
in the presence of a minister for
And
information.
in the presence of the Minister of Information. And we don't hear any statement from,
the same minister.
by the way, he's also my clansman. You know, we from Kigezi, we are very, very good.
And positioned, well positioned.
The Minister of Finance, Henry Musasizi, is from Kigezi. He's also my tribesman. You see, Museveni knows people who work very hard. So the two prime ministers have been from Kigezi, Bachiga, Mbabazi, and Bakana Rugunda. Tayebwa now, the deputy president of the vice
Deputy Speaker.
deputy what do you call speaker, is a Muchiga.
So
We are doing it very well.
you are the same Machiga now messing this whole.
And we are making a mess. No, we wouldn't. You see, he have appointed Musasizi, Tayebwa,
the late Bank of Uganda
yes,
governor.
and Musasizi to advise him. But he doesn't. He said, I never accept advice. So that's why these Bachiga who are hardworking and very clever are failing. The other Muchiga he had appointed, I think he was...
Even the governor. From
No, I'm talking about Mbabas. You have reminded me, the former governor and the vice chancellor.
Even Kahirimbanyi.
Yes, and the former, rather the current chancellor of Makerere, they are all from Kiki.
So literally you are positioned. But
I am sorry I started this this conversation. I'm getting embarrassed. The majority of these,
they're the ones messing up the country. And
yes, and they are messing up because Museveni himself is also from Kigezi.
so literally you are the problem now.
Yes.
From Kigezi, you are the problem of this country.
Museveni is not a problem. Tibuhaburwa is a big problem.
I have an inbox question here,
Yes.
and in particular, I think it's because this viewer was concerned when you mentioned about Kigezi.
She's a Besije is from Kigezi
as well.
What are you the rest from elsewhere doing? Why are you leaving us, the whole country, to be the governors?
Jim Muhwezi and others.
Jim Muhwezi is from Kigezi. Tumukunde is from
Tumukunde
Kigezi. The other who also challenged Museveni is from Kigezi. No, he's from Ankole.
Former Minister Aronda was from
Aronda was from Kigezi. One of the famous secretaries to the treasury we've had, Kahoza, is from Kigezi.
So, in a nutshell, this country is being
It's
messed
governed by Kigezi.
Kigezi.
Yes.
This person asks, I think this is because you have mentioned about the brilliancy and participation of the Kigezi people. And this person asks, what are the qualifications for one to become governor, Bank of Uganda? I know it was a rumor and definitely a lie. A poster was moving around that Amam Babas had been appointed governor Bank of Uganda. Now one was wondering, is that even possible?
Presumably by Tibuhaburwa.
Tibuhaburwa can appoint Babazi.
Tibuhaburwa can appoint a dog to do anything.
So what are the qualifications for one to be governor Bank of Uganda, in your view, as a legal brain?
In Mutevide, who was an economist, and when you are an economist, you also learn about monetary issues, was ideally qualified to be governor. But you didn't read an article in the Monitor. The current deputy governor, I forget his name, you can find it out, has been recommended in the Monitor and other quarters that he would be the best replacement of Dr. Mutevide. So why is President Museveni waiting for another? Because when you are deputy and you are qualified, you become the governor.
It's a matter of promoting him.
Precisely. So my view is that instead of waiting for 2, 3, 4 months, the deputy governor should be appointed the governor immediately. In any case, he now has been acting governor. Has he made any mistake?
Maybe it is. Maybe the position is also being reserved for another chair person in waiting, because you see, your ministry.
That one wouldn't surprise me.
Because the Ministry of Justice has been there, very vacant for close to even 2 years, ever since he made his cabinet, until the chairman.
I wonder what would happen if the governorship was offered to Richamuzi.
Again.
Could he refuse? Because Tibuhaburwa can appoint anybody.
You have become now sarcastic. You want this country to be managed by Ken Richamuzi as the governor Bank of Uganda.
Who would?
And now that's Justice Kanyeihamba for you today. Today you're different. I don't know whether it's because you are making.
You had asked earlier, are you in a militant mood?
Today you're in a sarcastic
mood. It has come back, I'm afraid. This is disease.
Because you're making 83 next week.
Next week. This August.
Next week,
this August 11th. Those who want to send me prizes and not bombs, it is 11th.
Okay.
And to talk about that one, I think I'm about the same age as Moses Ali, who is still a cabinet minister and deputy prime minister. So, as I have always said, age doesn't matter. It is whether you are sick, because when you get old, you are less capable of fighting diseases. So everybody is killed by disease, not by old age. Old age doesn't kill. But as you get older, you are less capable of fighting the disease. We all get a disease. I remember once, Norman, you were a very young man, telling me that you had the runs, so you couldn't come and interview me. They went a long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's Kanyeihamba for you. Now, one asks here, I think it's going to be that much interactive, and also because also drawing references onto the previous discussion here. You called upon either or the vice president.
Yes.
And
the prime minister.
And the prime minister. Have they come?
None have responded. I have here, as I told you, 25 million shillings.
50 million.
Eh?
You talked of 50 million.
Okay,
have you
50 million.
Have you reduced it? Okay.
I have reduced it because they didn't come.
That means by next week it's going to be 10 million.
It remains 50 million.
Okay.
Even to have 2 people in Kalamoja can't see them. Arupo, I knew her.
And she's your neighbor. I think it should be a kilometer or so from here to where her home is. She resides in Buziga, as far as I know.
Can we go to her home now?
I am not. You're not a bush.
Because another Kalamaja is going to die. I advised on last week.
Yes, it was last week Wednesday.
The Prime Minister, who is innocent of all this, should come and I hand him the check for 50 million. And they add on their own. I appeal to Sudhir, who used to be my friend, before the bank handed over my own bank,
To him.
which I was one of the directors, Kigezi Bank of Commerce. The Supreme Court has ruled, and they have their judgment here, that all those banks, commercial banks, Kigezi Bank of Commerce, which the Bank of Uganda wrongly handed to Sudhir through Kureni Bank. Actually, the Bank of Uganda also wound up Kureni Bank. They have ruled the judgment is there, you can go and ask. And it was explained by the professor from the Supreme Court, the lady. It means that those of us who were deprived our shares, those in Ukraine, those in the Kigezi Bank of Commerce, must have back their shares. That is the judgment of the Supreme Court of Uganda. I have written to Muhoozi. Muhoozi gave me money, I didn't have money.
Which Muhoozi?
Jim Muhoozi, now the
Muhoozi,
Minister of what?
Minister for Security. Yeah.
Yes, Muhoozi. When we
Muhoozi.
live here, call him. He gave me money to prosecute Nzei.
It was the Banyachigezi affair this time around.
Yeah. That's a bank, we founded it all
As
over
Banyachigezi.
to stay in Kigezi. We even had protective provision to support it. Nzei illegally and Mbaba's unfortunately sold it to Kenyans for 11 million shillings. After they had told the bank whether that land is worth $2 million, rather 2 million shillings, or more expensive, you must receive only 11 billion
shillings,
which the Kenyans are giving us to buy the bank. The money, then they got it. The Kenyans gave them the money, $11 million, and they ran it for some time, illegally, because we had to put their embargo that it cannot be sold to foreigners. Kenyans are foreigners as far as Uganda law is concerned. Then the Kenyans found it was not very profitable the way it was, and they said, give us back our money. Do you know whom they next sold it? Sold it to the bank, to the Arab consortium in Abu Dhabi. Nzei and Rakana Rugunda. Rather, Nzei and Mbabazi. We had cited Rugunda, but Rugunda explained. Remember, he was ambassador in somewhere originally. While he was away, you know, he has the habit of saying yes, 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 Ndugu, yes, Ndugu. They tricked him. So when he explained to us, we dropped him from the suit. So he's not part of that suit. He's no longer part of it. But I think he's a shareholder. Now, having said that, they sold to another consortium. But they refused to transfer the bank to them because the law prohibited it. But they took the money. What kind of Uganda? Mr. Tibuhaburwa, you may not get advice. But listen, please, to what I am saying. You are in Kigezi. Kigezi Bank of Commerce, little money was put in, 2 million, 1 million, by poor people. By the Gombololas and Saza councils, which represent your people in Kigezi. Mr. President, why have you kept silent? You are going to be, your shadow, Tibuhaburwa, is going to be addressing the nation regularly. Please, one of the decisions Tibuhaburwa should talk about is Kigezi Bank of Commerce. Help Bank of Uganda. Because the Supreme Court of Uganda faulted the Bank of Uganda for all this mess. And then the court directed that all these shares
Should be given back to...
should be taken back to their original owners. I am one of the owners, Mr. Tibuhaburwa. So I am appealing to you as our son. Tell the Bank of Uganda to get back our shares, and those of Crane Bank of Sudwiro, who is supposed to be innocent, and return them to the people of Kigezi who own bank. Commercial Bank of Kigezi. Okay. Otherwise, when you come back, especially in the name of Buhaburwa, to Kabale, we may refuse to give you water to drink.
In a minute, we shall be breaking, and this is the personal assistant to Dr. Besigye. He's called Ronald Muhinda. He says, Kanyeihamba, Tibuhaburwa can appoint a dog to do anything, like he's wondering.
Pardon?
The personal assistant to Dr. Besigye, Ronald Muhinda, is more or less wondering, and he types and says, Kanyeihamba, Tibuhaburwa can appoint a dog to do anything. Like, so he's just wondering as well in regards to your statement on how you said Tibuhaburwa can even reach far to even appoint a dog to be anything in this country.
Do you know why I said that? In one university in the UK, I will keep quiet. Students play the game on the administration. So they registered the name, a bulldog, as a
player?
As a student for PhD.
A dog?
Yes. But all the work they were giving the dog, they were doing it themselves. They helped the dog. Then, on graduation day, they called his name. He was called Maxi. So the vice chancellor called, the next one to receive PhD here in this graduation, Mr. Max, come and receive your degree. And the students led the dog to the graduate. And everybody was shocked. So Mr. who was asking...
This is Ronald Muhinda. He's the PA to Dr. Besigye.
Yes. You see, Tibuhaburwa, I was talking about the bad deal for Uganda. He also said, I agree with the with the parliament that it was a bad deal.
But nonetheless?
But I want to strangle it. But I don't want it to be cancelled. So what do you think my person who has called you? You cue on that one.
Okay.
I never minced words.
Okay, our viewers.
Truth hurts. People fear it, but you must always tell the truth.
Okay.
Thank you.
Justice Kanyeihamba, we're still with him. We are breaking for close to a minute or even less. Don't go away. We are still broadcasting on the Alternative Uganda Facebook page and also Digitalk TV Facebook page. Let alone the show will be on our YouTube channel, the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel. We are here. In our second hour, kindly call 0789 017 145. That's MTN. Or Airtel 0759 132 310 and talk to Justice Kanyeihamba. He's with us. He's making 83 next week, Thursday. We are here. We're coming back.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
You have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative Digitalk. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyanema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the Alternative Digitalk etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugende mu maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop, and smart TVs. As we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative Digitalk.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Okay. We are back. My name is Norman Tuhimbise. We still have Justice Kanyeihamba in his home in Buziga, and before we went into a break, I was telling him that Honorable Jessica Alupo, who happens to be the Vice President, is his neighbor, like a kilometer or even less a kilometer, and he was talking of ambushing her and perhaps drop a check to help the Karamojong people. But that is later on in the day. You never know. If he does find out the exact home, maybe he will. But we still call upon the Vice President or the Prime Minister, Robin Anabanja, to come by Justice Kanyeihamba's home, and we shall perhaps share the contacts of Justice Kanyeihamba and pick the check. It doesn't cost anything, simply coming around. You have government fuel.
And they save a few.
And save, yeah. And onto that note, I'm sure you are aware about the unfortunate happenings in Bugisu sub-region, about the floods, and you see how the entire region is messed.
The manager of Kanyeihamba Foundation, Lisa, his uncle was caught in that flood. He's in hospital. It seems they have saved his life. but he wasn't breathing, he was full of water. He's one of those who are affected. Many of the Karamajong are our relatives or friends. Janet Museveni, Minister of Education, you should convince the Vice President or the Prime Minister to come and
pick
get a check from
donation.
Kanyeihamba, 15 million shillings, to save a few lives. How can Oropo, whom I know, I once even wrote to her about her, how kind she was in the part of Africa, the unexpected that happened. I have an article there praising her work and they're saying Arupo delivers for her, her message, does her work properly. At one time, I hope they are still, she was the wife of Muchiga from Kigezi. And they were always very, very blank. This message was put out yesterday. No message I have received
From any of them, either the Vice
neither
President
of
or...
them, the Prime Minister, no. But yesterday I was informed, the day before yesterday, that the Prime Minister was registering rather borders. Is that the job of the Prime Minister or of a junior official? Museveni once said, they have left those things which they should do and done things which they ought not to do. I think registering dogs is not one of the functions of the Prime Minister of Uganda. Thank you.
Okay, that's Justice Kanyeihamba.
Now, but before we finish there, you told me that she lives near me here. Do you know her residence?
We shall find out, but
I shall go with you. When we finish this program,
we should look for her and
you are going
drop
to
the
help
check.
me. We go look around here, and I leave the message at her house. We shall see whether she will ignore that one as well. Okay, thank you.
Okay, going back to the previous discussion in regards to your friend that you baptized as the chairman.
Yes.
It is rumored that he intends to visit the jailed opposition people. In particular, he wants to begin with Honorable Sewanyana and Segirinya, and perhaps let alone other victims. In your view, let us assume he has visited them, and days or so later they are granted bail. Who scores?
I think Mao is a good lawyer. But from what I hear, he has never practiced. Whether or not the government is opposed to bail is a role for the Attorney General. And in the next discussion, I was going to say, now that Mao has become Minister of Justice and Attorney General, let us reverse it to the old system. Where the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs is also the same person, the Attorney General, then he can do that. But he can only argue and advise the Attorney General to release these people on bail. Otherwise, he will just be governing the same way as Tibuhaburwa. So Mao, when Lule appointed me, Attorney General only, the late Nabudeli was the Minister of Justice and the Constitutional Affairs. And I said no. The portfolio of Justice and the Constitutional Affairs runs smoothly together when the same person is also the Attorney General. I was remembering the clash that took place in New York, not in Uganda, between the late Obwango and the late Ibinjira, who was a friend of mine and a mentor. When they went there, they wanted to present the policy of Uganda on some legal matter. And Bwango said, I'm the minister responsible for the policy, therefore I represent Uganda. Ibinjira said, I am the Attorney General of Uganda. I am legally entitled to represent Uganda. I don't know if it was physical, but apparently they fought.
That
So,
is Ibinjira and who?
Ibinjira and Obwango. Obwango was Minister of Justice and Attorney General, while Ibinjira Grace was Attorney General. And they fought, the information they fought in New York, competing as to who should brief the American president on some Uganda law. So, similarly, Mr. Mao, also now you are honorable. Honorable Mao, because you are a cabinet minister of the NRM. Don't clash with Chiwanuka now by saying whether bail should granted or not. Speak with Chiwanuka, the oil man, who is now also the Attorney General. And if he agrees with you, he is the one, not you, to order the release of those MPs. Please let us use the law Ugandans, not personalities. I am criticizing what Tibuhaburwa is doing, not because I love Museveni less, but because I love Uganda more. You people love Uganda, be patriotic. If Museveni said, we are patriotic, as he says, Kanyeihamba was going to become the president of the African Court on Human People's Rights. Your government vetoed him. Is that patriotism? Don't play with words. I heard yesterday President Museveni talking. And one of the things is to denounce Banyankole. You know, he once said, one Indian shopkeeper or trader is equivalent to 100 Bachiga. Now he has said this again against Banyankole. But he is a Muchiga. This is from Kigezi. He has said, I heard him say, that nobody ever helped him in education except two Bagandas and a Mzungu.
An Indian.
Presumably by rejecting him totally in Uganda, he has not fulfilled the promises he made when they paid him for school fees. But that's a different matter. I used to visit the late Byanima.
Boniface.
Byanima. Whenever I was going to Kabale and I had time in Mbarara, I go and have lunch with Byanima and his relative can confirm. Dr. Mwine, who was also a Munyankole, and the prince at that, told me that Byanyima used to help both Museveni and the Mwine in their educational needs and requirements. Unfortunately, both Boniface and Dr. Frank Mwine have passed on since. So it is my word. But I believe that even relatives of Museveni, such as Kaguta and Kaibanda, must have helped him, at least to walk him to school, to denounce even Munyankole,
For having helped him,
including his uncle and the father, that none of them ever helped him. He was helped by the Baganda. He's speaking as Tibuhaburwa
not as Museveni.
and not as Museveni.
Our viewers continue to engage. Justice Kanyeihamba, I'm going to read the comments or the questions that I'm seeing here later in some few minutes, but you can call direct on to 0789 017 145 or 0759 132 310, and then you engage or ask a question to Justice Kanyeihamba. In the same line, in regards to the person you described as the chairman, one of the principles in their understanding, call it their memorandum or cooperation, there was a clause that the justice minister would spearhead the dialogue. Don't you think, in the event that he goes and visits the entire opposition detainees, may be deemed as the prerequisites for the entire dialogue?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. That's what he said. It's very sad for Uganda. When we promulgated the Uganda Constitution of 1995, which is still the governing constitution, President Museveni was a guest of honor. He played very little role in the making of that constitution. But for us who were representing the NRM, he gave us a lot of advice and tricks. When we finished it, he said, "This is the best constitution Ugandans have ever made, and I will go in the bush once more if anybody interfered with it." It's true we have got an amendment clause in the Constitution. But I have always asked Tibuhaburwa and the Mao, tell me what parts of the Constitution are not good, so that we discuss their amendment. You can't send a site blindly, stupidly, propose amendments to the Constitution when the President says it is the best we ever made. Which parts are weak? Which parts need amendment? Mention them to Ugandans and to people like Kanyeihamba. Maybe we shall agree with you. I know that there are many parts of the Constitution which President Museveni doesn't accept, even those that he opposed. And there are others, DP, opposed, including Mao's only humble acceptance of working with the opposition party as their minister while leading DP. The whole world is laughing. So I will not comment, because for me that constitution, as Museveni said, was the best we made. And if you knew there was defects in the constitution, you point them out. If you are President Museveni, you say, although I am happy with this constitution, but section so and so, section so and so is not good. He has never said anything against the constitution. Mao has been fighting very hard as the leader of DP for the movement to observe the provision of the 1995 constitution. He has never suggested an amendment. Even when I write to them that paragraph A, and I want, I am requesting humbly and in the name of God for Mao to comment. And you ask him about it, please, because he's now a Minister of Justice. What does he think about paragraph A, subsection 6 of section 59 of the Presidential Election Act? What does he think when Kanyeihamba said all the Supreme Court decision we have had on Article 104 of the Constitution, the election of the president, are all wrong and unconstitutional? Kanyeihamba said that. Ask him today, what is your view? Is he wrong, like Tibuhaburwa? Or is he correct because you are a lawyer? Please, Norman, do me a favor. Ask those questions to both of them. Tibuhaburwa may not have time to answer, but ask Mao. Let's have let the country know the answer. When we meet next time, tell us what
They will have answer.
Tibuhaburwa said, and the other man of Nupe, what is his name?
The leader of opposition. You mean the leader of opposition? Or,
Yes, leader of the opposition in the parliament.
Matthias Mpuga.
Yes, what about said about them? Let us, the next meeting, start with their answers. And then
We hope
discuss
they
it.
will answer. I have this question from Mutale Farouk
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
He asks, Justice Kanyeihamba, don't you think that Museveni does not trust any person in his government because we shouldn't forget he is a rebel? For example, look at what Ofwono Opondo did to Lukwago in the TV studios after failing to defend the notorious actions taking place in the current Tibuhaburwa government.
I entirely agree with you. So there is nothing I need to add. Thank you for bravely making that comment and asking the question. I agree with you.
Among Patricia, you already answered among Patricia when you said that the vice president hasn't picked the check. She was asking, has the vice president picked the check of the donation you gave to the Karamojong people? But you already answered the question. In the same regard, we saw the leader of opposition in parliament seeking guidance from the speaker on where the DP people would belong, because literally the leader of opposition leads the entire opposition members of parliament.
That's right.
Therefore, DP is now confused on whether the DP members will join their chairman Mao onto the NRM side. So everyone was wondering what exactly.
Mr. Evan, the whole of Uganda and the whole world is confused about this. How can, you see, let me start with this one. What the argument says, it says Mao will respect and protect the decisions and the policies of the NRM in the agreement. But the movement and the President Museveni will respect the aspirations and the dreams of the DP. Mr. Was it Mr. Evans who asked the question?
No, yeah, it's Nachayune Rita.
So the whole country, everybody in the world is totally confused about what this. I have a copy of that understanding. And the way I understand it, Mao was there with the Secretary General of DP.
Siranda.
And they secured their own positions, both to be ministers in the NRM
and one to represent
ruling party. One
to become ELA MP, legislator for East African.
Yes, one to become minister for the East African affairs, shadow man, a mere MP,
yeah.
not even a minister.
No, MP for.
And then Mao,
Minister for Justice.
to become a chair of the NRM by holding the portfolio of Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. Everything is totally in a mess and confusing to everybody. Nobody has explained what does all this mean. President Museveni, what is wrong with the present constitution, which you said was the best? So tell the world and the Ugandans that we need to amend this and that. They will understand where most Ugandans, if not all, are intelligent people. They are not fools. You say something is very bad. You give me honey. And they say, it's very good for your health, eat it. But then you say, first we need to clean it. Of what? Does the words of English mean what we all mean or not? Or I look at the Joker described by Shakespeare, that words mean what I mean and nothing more, or what other people say, only what I say. President Museveni, Tibuhaburwa, are you saying that what you say is what is correct, regardless of what anybody else, whether they are experts in the position, in the law, or not, say? Are you saying that when you are staying with the late Boniface Byanyima, and his daughter, I believe, was also a friend of yours, Winnie Byanyima, Besigye, no Munyankole ever helped you. Boniface never helped you. And your late friend, Mwine, Frank, was telling lies when he told me that it is Byanyima who guided you in the school you went to. Was he telling lies? Unless you say, yes, he was telling lies, then it is Tibuhaburwa who is telling this country and the world lies. Thank you.
Okay, we are with Justice Kanyeihamba, but it's still in the same line. In the event that some MPs who belong to DP consider not to go with Mao, so do we see two factions of DP in Parliament? And if yes, so what does the law say? And how do you guide them?
I think it is a fact in the Constitution that if you come into Parliament elected by members of one party, you remain in that party in the Parliament. Certainly, if the DPs joined the movement now to support the movement in everything, including torturing their own members and the others, they will have ceased to be members of DP. They should resign. But
And then you have by
if they
elections.
join and support Mao, they should also resign because he is no longer the president
Of DP.
You can't be the president of DP and also be the minister of justice and attorney general of Museveni. It is incompatible. Please. English should mean what it means, not what Mao wants it to mean. Nobody in their senses, DP, the leader in the opposition, can regard Mao as president, as also
DP president.
DP president. It is manifest absurdity. If I were to ask me, Kanyeihamba, if you are Mao, what would you do? I would leave now. If I made a mistake, I am rejoining my party. A president of a serious party should not behave that one. So you would join it as an ordinary member. And I would advise DP to replace you with another
President.
serious bond, B-O-N-E, leader. And not byoya byanswa of a kind of leader. Thank you.
Okay, viewers, we are still with Justice Kanyeihamba. We encourage you to call 0789-017-145 or 0759-132-310 and ask Justice Kanyeihamba any question in regards to governance, rule of law, justice, mention it. And we'll be with him here up to 9 a.m. And indeed, we are good to go for, if there are any calls or any comments, we shall continue reading the comments and having this show moving. Justice Kanyeihamba, previously when the president was addressing the nation, one of the alternatives he offered was that those that are complaining about the fuel prices would rather opt to using or procuring electric vehicles. In your view, is that even possible? What do you make of such a statement? Because to remind you, the wife had earlier alone advised parents to pack warm food for their children and buy flasks.
I even go longer in history. Among my books is the Constitutional and Political History of Uganda from 1894 to the present. And you are right that that's what President Museveni has said. And what Honorable Janet has said. Do you know why other people called her First Lady? Both she and her husband don't like that term at all. She's very embarrassed when, is it New Vision, continuing calling her the First Lady, the First Lady. We don't have a minister in cabinet called First Lady. Minister of Education and Sports is known as Honorable Janet Museveni. And by the way, I have a letter. Next time, remind me, you show it to the viewers. She's thanking me for not calling her First Lady. She's thanking me for calling her Honorable minister. Among those who had those words is Basajja Baraba.
Hassan.
He was present when she addressed me, Professor, thank you for calling me what I am. Now, I want you, when you leave here, to ask the editor of New Vision. You have heard what Kanyeihamba said. Why do you continue saying First Lady in your paper? Even the occasionally monitor calls her First Lady. By reference to that, I want to be crude this time. You are referring to her as the bedmate of the president of Uganda. And she hates it. New Vision, I am telling you, you are the editor. Some 2 days ago, you called her Honorable Janet, Minister Janet. That is fine. But you are embarrassing her every time you write First Lady. You are embarrassing her. And she's my witness, Basajja Baraba. Why do you continue embarrassing her? Somebody has told you wrongly that maybe she prefers that title. She doesn't. But our first cabinet, which I attended, in 1986, President Museveni says, what's wrong with the Ugandans? Why do they continue referring to my wife as First Lady? Has she got other things other women don't have? And then we all laughed in the cabinet. Then he said, and I don't think cabinet recorded that because it was really a serious statement by President Museveni, which has nothing to do with the governance. Then he said, as I understand it, it is the Americans who call the wife of the president First Lady. Why are you Ugandans stupidly copying the Americans? Aping, he used the word, aping the Americans. So, editor of New Vision, why are you stupidly continuing to copy the foreigners and the Americans and call Honorable Janet
First Lady.
the First Lady? Answer that, and I'm sure Norman is a very good journalist. He will ask you. And the next time, let your listeners hear from the editor of New Vision. Why do you call Mrs. Museveni or Honorable Museveni First Lady, which refers to her habits and the pleasures she shares with her husband in the bedroom? Do you go to that bedroom for you to be allowed to call her First Lady when Museveni said that is Americanism and they don't ape Americanism? Ugandans. I am sure the editor thinks she will. You ask her, do you like Kanyehamba's title Honorable or the one we give you First Lady? And ask the editor, because you have access to editor. And also, when we meet again, you give us the answers from the editor of New Vision, from Janet Museveni. I have a letter here thanking me for only calling her Honorable. And if she denies, I'll give it to you and you show it on the media.
Okay, our viewers, we're still with Justice Kanyeihamba and we are moving progressively. We wish to continue letting you know that you can reach onto our studio numbers 0789 107 145 or 0759 132 310 so that we can take advantage of the remaining minutes before we close. Given what is happening in the country, let's go back to the either management or mismanagement of the Karamajong hunger and the rest, and also these floods in the Bugis sub-region. The government has pledged to give 5 million shillings per homestead. And we are given the history of such reliefs, sometimes they haven't reached or otherwise. Do you think the government is managing such emergencies well, in particular by Honorable Hilary Onek, who happens to be Minister for Disaster Preparedness? Is Uganda's government always ready for disaster preparedness?
First of all, I would believe it. How much?
5 million per homestead.
What does Hillary say? Because you can call him also. That Kanyeihamba is offering his own savings, part of his savings, 50 million. But the EU government, you are giving only 5 million. 10 times less than what a citizen is surrendering from his pension. And it is not a pension, the money I have earned as a lawyer or as a speaker on BBC and other areas. So I am sure Hillary will answer you. I used to know him.
Hilary Onek.
Yes, I used to know him. We were both guests at the passing out of police cadres in the college. In the
Kabadye?
Yes. And he's a nice man, I know him. Except that he's these days quiet, like most of my former friends. They are being silenced by Tibuhaburwa and his people. So you challenge him. When the vice president, for me, I want to help the Karamajong. I will ask him to double my offer or up it. When my secretary comes, I'm going to write to people like Sudhir, Casemates, and the empire of the Murwana, and to Madivani, say, please help me to save the Karamajong from dying by donating 50 million of my savings. And these are not small monies. I have saved it for over 30 years. And you equal me or better me so that we send all this money
And save the Karamajong.
and save the Karamajong. When you come next time, I read those letters.
Okay.
When I finish writing them, I'll make sure they are delivered. I write one also to President Museveni. Okay, thank you.
One of the final questions that I want you to also address your mind and advice to. You have just mentioned that Hilary Onek happened and happens to be a good man. What happens to the goodness of those men when they join Mr. Museveni or his shadow? Where does the goodness in them go?
Let me tell you where they go by giving an example of my relative, Major General Kahindo Tafide. Major General Kahindo Tafide in the last election was very angry that Museveni did not support him, but he supported the opponent of Kahindo Tafide.
Kahonda.
Yes,
Kahonda.
Yes.
Kahonda, yes.
Yes. And he came here, he said, this man, that is Kahindo Tafide. He visited me here. You can ask my daughter and the others. He came here with a professor from the university and bemoaned to me and said, doesn't Dictator Museveni think that we also could want to become presidents? He thinks he's the only bull in the crowd. We were all here when Kanyeihamba said that. Then, when Kahinda stood again, I think he defeated that man.
Kahonda, yeah, recently.
Yes. Minister rather Tibuhaburwa immediately made him Minister of Justice and
Constitutional affairs at the time.
Constitutional. You remember? Then I was stunned. Then later, he discovered that the current Attorney General really is not a lawyer, but an expert in oil.
And gas.
And he wanted to appoint him his expert on oil. But then the office of the Attorney General was still vacant. So he said, while you are advising him on oil, why don't you also become
the overall
Attorney General?
General.
The new, rather the Attorney General then, Chiwanuka, knows very little about Uganda laws or the procedures. And to show you, when the Supreme Court feared to hold against Museveni, they postponed our petition forever.
Sunday.
I think you have a copy of my notes of submission. And I wish you could ask me how we can circulate it countrywide so that headmasters, universities, and other institutions get a copy and read the same to their students. I'll pay for it. Please, if you organize it that way. However, to come back to your question, Museveni is on record, and you can ask him, that the police institutions are the most corrupt organization in Uganda. The most corrupt. Now the police investigate and handle maybe 90, if not more, of the crimes committed in this country. There was a social media publication, I believe, in which Alternative Digital helped, claiming that Kanyeihamba had robbed me of 10 million shillings and 250 million shillings, one for medical journey to India, the other as fees to me when I was his legal advisor and representative for many years. Museveni must have had all this. The reason I see you, I am told that among those who criticize Kanyeihamba for robbing me of the money the government had given was none other than the Minister of Education. So I believe them. So what does Tibuhaburwa do? Museveni Tibuhaburwa. He appoints Kanyeihamba to be in charge of the police. Katonda one.
Okay, we have We have heard from Justice Kanyeihamba. We want to ask you politely. Someone here says, may you please, in your closing remarks, give that specific message, but in Uganda. You mind trying in Uganda?
Which message?
No, yeah, like the overall message to citizens in regards to what is happening, politely, in Uganda, maybe to spread, to widen the viewership and the message to be really conceived in like a minute or two, sir.
Uganda kyenyuza nnyo kulaba nti amagezi geetuwayo abantu abamanya ebintu bino abantu abakola ne President Museveni byetwogera byonna aba Uganda tebabifako oba batya n'okubyogerako. Akatabo kanje akawuddeko kagamba the defeat of President Museveni. Toyinza ku defeating President Museveni peacefully nga toyogedde anamusikira ekyo nkitadde mu katabo ako. Toyinza kugamba Museveni n'omuvuma n'okola ki nga tomugambe time etuuse obe mu bwa presidency okola ebyo nebya family yo. Kale mbuuzi oyo abuuza ekibuuzo ekyo mubuuze kamubuuze kati lwaki tokola bwotyo otya ki kugamba Museveni nti essaawa zituuse wuumule otya ki kugamba nti twagala twogere ananaakusikira gw'ovamu lwaki mwena musirise aba Uganda bonna mwena musirike lwaki ekyo mukiddemu nze mumbuuza mbaddamu naye mbabuuza. Secondly,
and finally, sir.
Babadde bonna boogera ku bintu bya Muhoozi project. Nze nenkigaana kubanga Museveni wetakiriko. Juzi Muhoozi yakoze pati nga tuuse ku myaka 48. Pati eyo bagitadde wona mu Uganda emirundi mingi na mukwano gwe Kagame n'agitendinga. Museveni na Janet tebagenda mu mbuga eyo naye kubanga mwana wa Museveni bamukiriza
akole pati
mu State House. Abagenyi be ba Muhoozi bajeyo nankani yaliyo Kagame. Kale kati mumanyi nti President Museveni n'omutabani tebakirizagana ku ntegeka ya Ethiopia Foreign Affairs. General Muhoozi asemba atayamba opposition ya Ethiopia abo yagala babeere mu government nga bawangudde government eriwo kati. Naye President Museveni asemba government ya Ethiopia tayagala evewo ayagale ekibiina kya Muhoozi asemba bakigobe kivewo. Egyo message yembalekera kubanga essaawa ziwaddeko egamba temumbuuza bibuuzo buzo mukomontenge na bino byenyogerako bwe muyita alternative digital mugamba nti nange ekino ekyokubya Museveni resigning kati nkikiriza ate omusika we nawe tumwogereko kati kubanga kati ngenda kubeera emyaka 83 ndowooza sindi wala wa Moses Ali nawe ali mu 80s
Prime Minister.
ekyokubiri President Museveni kati bwenyogera ali emyaka 8 lwaki ba Uganda nti mutya kwogera nti aleke gavumenti kati katunyumye na his succession kiki kyemutya 400 nze ndi omu byogerako nimbiwandiiseko naye mumutya kale kambagambe umanyi yagamba nti tetusangula diiru yebakola y'omwanyi y'emyanyi naye sipiika yagamba nti diiru egyo yakuba Uganda Parliament neeziramu ekikuteeso n'ebikyondoozo negamba nti diiru egyo irigo eyenda na ssemateeka ate teri mu interest za Uganda. Museveni n'agamba nkiriza
yadde enfu
naye Tibuhaburwa n'ajjawo n'agamba nti naye bwakubadde ng'erimbi saagala mugisangule mugikansoling. Ebyo bya confusion na illegalities and constitutionalism kati beba tuvugamu kati batudde maawo nawo abayingiddemu
in a minute.
Yes. So kyengamba ba Uganda muzuukuke yemuli ebintu byonna tubyogereko kubanga twayogerako limu Museveni nga kyawulira ali naba advisor yali nga yenda kuwayo Mabira Forest ku musajja owamuwa sente z'obululu fena naba parliament twegaana n'abivako. Museveni yo awulira bulungi kale mwogere ebintu bye Museveni akkiriza obunankanyo obukulembeze
abuveeko
muve ku bya Tibuhaburwa.
Okay, you have heard yogende mu Luganda mu Lyanaka ate kati tukyayongerako ekigambo. Let's catch you up next week Wednesday with Justice Kanyeihamba. We shall be discussing what will have transpired between now and Wednesday next week. We can't thank you enough. May God bless all of you. Bye for now.
Thank you.